Hey, Bryn, happy
Hi,
Monday.
Stan. Happy Monday. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Very good. So, looking forward to talking a little bit about Sales Navigator, Relationship
Again,
Explorer. Yes, imagine that.
on our Sales Navigator show.
Yes, well, at least we're consistent.
There you go. Yeah, this is interesting. I'm going to let you introduce it, but what we're going to talk about, you have, I don't yet, or some of it. You have, and I don't yet. So I
Yes.
got to experience it this morning when we were kind of practicing for today. And I am so excited about it. And hopefully, as we have folks that are joining us today and then in the replay and then in the podcast, by the time this is out in the world, everyone will have it. But I'm going to hand it
How
back to you
about
to
that?
introduce what this mystery thing is.
Yes, it is rolling out. I mistakenly assumed that everyone would probably have the new view of it. Now, we're talking about Relationship Explorer, and this is a feature that you'll find when you click into any account on SalesNav. And it's designed basically to help you better understand the structure of an organization, or at least that's how you can use it.
Yeah.
Now, this is not, don't get too excited. It's when I say understand the structure of an organization, the AI is not to the point where it can do an org chart for us yet.
We tried.
Yes, someday, because that's I'm sure that's where things are headed. They'll just be able to say, "Hey, here's the org chart," or maybe not because of privacy concerns. Who knows? But it does give you, among other things, a chance to map out the decision makers within an organization as you see them. Now, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself just a little bit, so let me slow down. When you click into an account page, you've got your basic contact information, website, and so forth at the top. But above the fold, you don't even have to scroll, you will see Relationship Explorer. Now, what they're rolling out is a slightly new view of Relationship Explorer, but whether you've got the old or the new version, you'll still see Relationship Explorer right at the top. And what that is it's a view of employees within that account
Mhm.
that you can filter by personas if you've already set up personas. So this is yet another application for
Yeah.
personas. So if you're looking at like an ADP or something with thousands of employees and you want to start to narrow things down to your ICP,
Mhm.
the decision makers you're after, if you've set up a buyer persona in advance, you can filter by that. If you haven't set one up, you can set it up right there.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Brent.
I have it. I did not have it this morning, and I have it now.
Oh my goodness.
So maybe it is rolling out to everyone. So this is exciting.
This
What
is,
I love, so if I can rewind to weeks ago,
yes,
we talked about setting up personas. And when
yes.
we set up personas, it really helps us to use almost like, one click for quite a few filters so that we don't have to do them over and over and over again. And while I still believe there's not enough filters in persona, there are quite a lot. And actually, the way that we're using it here makes sense, right?
Mm.
Because if I use too many filters in persona, like location, and then I pop into a company and I choose that persona, it's going to kill my searches. So now that I see the vision of where LinkedIn is going with persona, I think it's fabulous. So, if you go in and did you say we can have 5 persona now, correct?
That is the last count that I've seen.
Okay,
Yep,
so
it's
but
up to
so
5.
this means that we can go in from a strategic perspective and build out, maybe you build out the C-suite. Maybe you build out your buyers, or your decision makers, or your wallet holders. Maybe you have your influencers or your shoppers who are going out to find information. And by when you click through, so now I'm playing and I'm inside of Oracle. And when I get in there and I go to my sales leaders, that's my persona, and I have a couple of other filters on seniority level and region. I am getting, and this is amazing. So I'm getting a search of all of these people, and it's showing me my mutual connections. And by the way, I'm seeing a ton of people that worked at Dun and Bradstreet.
Yes.
Dan and I both worked there at different times in different locations, but it's showing those areas that we have in common. So I'm going to hand it back to you to talk about, but we'll go a little more tactical, but I really want to talk strategically how this can save an enormous amount of time
Time.
for people that are hunting.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So when you get in there, you'll see things organized by people, by buyer intent, by insights, and then at the very bottom, alerts. Now, it's funny, Brendan and I were talking before this, and we were saying, okay, where can we filter this by what spotlights? Because one filter that is super, super helpful is posted on LinkedIn within the last 30 days, because you can see who's active and likely to respond and likely to engage.
Mhm.
Um, Up to this point, I haven't found an easy way to do it. Bryn, one of the things that SalesNav does is they refer to things like shared connections and um, education,
Mhm.
shared experience. Sometimes that's a little bit conflated, and they some of their support people may call it spotlights, but it's not exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it
And
is slightly. It's not the complete thing. Let's
right,
say that.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, and we're biased because the one that we just use over and over again is posted on LinkedIn the past 30 days. But there are others, like when
Mhm.
people have changed jobs, which leads to opportunities both at their past company and the
Mhm.
company that they've moved to if you're already connected to them. So before I move further down the page, we talked about people, and we're going to get into a little bit further down where there's a relationship map,
Yeah.
which they're adding some cool new features to as well. Um, but we talked about people. We also talked about intent. Now, buyer intent, you may or may not get results on that, because their LinkedIn is looking at things like people in your company who've connected with folks at your target company,
Right.
whether people at your target company have followed your company, and other metrics. Sales Nav says there are about 180 different things that they look at um, to determine buyer
And
intent.
we get to see 3 or 4 of them
Yes,
occasionally.
occasionally. And
Yeah. But let's talk about that account map, though. I think that's an important one.
yes, now the account map, one thing I noticed recently in playing with it is the account map is where you can pull in decision makers into what looks like an org chart or a map. So
Mhm.
say you interact with the sales organization and you say, okay, well, you've got a chief revenue officer at the top. Now, who
Mhm.
reports to them? Well, maybe VPs of sales, and then maybe directors, managers, etc. You can actually pull those people into your map. When I say pull the people, it's basically, you select the person, you can click add to the map, and their little profile picture appears there. And then you can also attach people to them. They don't make it extremely intuitive, unfortunately, because you kind of have to do things in reverse. For example, if you pull in the CRO, you can't say, okay, let me put in the people that report to the CRO. You've got to put in people that you think report to the CRO, and then add um, basically managed by. So I'm
Okay.
not in there now, but so you have to play with it a little bit to see how to attach people to the
Yeah.
person they're reporting to.
So this is so interesting right now. And so I don't have the update here on the bottom half. I still have tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And so
Interesting.
that's how it's been for a long time, right? So you save a lead and then you add a lead and you decide what tier. This update, which I don't have yet, I got half the update. This update that I don't have yet in the buyer mapping piece. I think ultimately what's going to happen, the org chart. So,
Yes.
and I think that's the ultimate goal. Now, we don't have a ton of information on this. So I actually like the idea that you can still add people. And then as we're having conversations internally, we can start linking them appropriately as we learn more. But
Yeah.
I think I think it's a move in the right direction for sure. And I do think that if we start to use this well, it's really going to help us socially surround a company,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, there was something else you were sharing that I don't have either, where you could actually mark them and they were color coded in
Okay.
champion, influencer. So I
Yeah.
can't see it on mine. Tell me a little
You
bit
don't
about,
see it. Okay.
tell
It
us a little bit about what that looks like.
it's these rollouts are fascinating in terms of how they do it and what they do and don't do. So when you're looking at, say, all employees on a list
Hmm.
in um, in Relationship Explorer, you just see the profile. But once you add a person to the map, you will see a drop down. Now, the default will be no role. But as Bryn
Okay.
mentioned, as soon as you click that drop down, you'll be able to choose from decision maker, champion, procurement,
Ah,
uh, influencer. And there's one other that'll come to me when I stop thinking about it. But the point is, you'll be able to start to clearly delineate, okay, where do each of these people fall in the buying process?
so I love this.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to throw in a strategy. I want you guys to start thinking about creating smart links for each of these persona so that you are prepared with content for the influencer, for the champion,
That's
for the procurement, right? Like we want to start thinking about when we identify the right people that we have the right content. Remember, we're working with collaborative buyers today. I mean, every time we see a new statistic, there are more people involved in a purchase, right? And I love that they're including procurement in here. While procurement, their biggest role is to negotiate a lower price. That's what procurement's role is, right? But if we can start to share value early on with procurement, we may have a better shot at in our negotiation, right? So finding these different roles and categorizing them allows us to reach out with the right content at the right time. And I think it's important. So now what? Now we know we have this tool. What are we going to do with it? And, as a team or as a team lead, if you're, or even if you're an individual doing this, I want you to start by looking. And once you have this, I still have, when I do the drop down, I still have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So
mm,
as they start to roll this out, start to define these categories for you. Identify who is it that you're speaking with and what content can you develop and create in a smart link that can ultimately bring value to these folks so that when we are reaching out, we've already curated content that will bring value to them in their particular role. So, and by the way, this is something that very few people are doing, but you can upload a short little video, a welcome video. Welcome, procurement professional.
Wow.
We're really excited to be considered to be considered as a new vendor for for your sales team. Below are some, and then walk them through. Below are some pieces of content that I think will help you understand a little bit about our value proposition and what we're bringing to your team. And then you have one, hello, sales leader, hello, right? Whatever. And you can literally have this content hub ready for them.
Yeah.
So the one thing I'm going to throw out that I would love and wish that Sales Navigator Smart Links could do is that you could copy a hub. When it was Point Drive, you could literally copy it. And so you could add something that had their logo in it instead of having to re-upload
Oh,
everything every time. And you could
oh.
share it with other team members. So I'm going to throw out that's the next thing I want Smart Links to do.
Yes, so that is our latest request, and Sales Navigator has gotten better
Oh,
about listening
yes.
to what we're
I,
asking for.
I am loving this sales solutions team. They're fabulous. So very
Yes.
exciting.
Yes, indeed, and they are in the process of transitioning to the slightly new look. So as you play with the tool, don't get frustrated. Everything will come and it will be
Well,
in place. Okay, there are things that they need to do. They do need to make it easier to move people to the account map.
yeah.
You should just be able to drag the person from people into the account map instead of having to type their name in and then hit add to add them in there.
User
Uh,
experience.
yes,
Yeah, that's
yes.
awesome.
So one thing, Bryn, that I looked at and I see I misspoke. When you're putting together the account map, you do want to start with the highest level person,
Okay.
which you know intuitively, logically makes sense. And
Yeah.
then as you add people below them, each person you add below them, you'll have the option to add manager. And when you click on add manager, you'll get a list of the other people who are in the account map, and you just select the one that they report to. So that's why you want to start with the
Oh,
highest level person, then add the others.
that makes sense.
Yeah, which makes sense. Now,
And
originally when they came out with this account map, it was just 3 tiers. As a matter of fact, I think you could only put 3 people on a tier in the
right.
beginning, and they quickly got the word that we need more than 3 people on a tier because of how things work.
Yeah.
And they did that. They've also, just from what I've seen, expanded the levels. So it used to be 3.
Yep.
I've gone out to 5.
Nice.
So I haven't had time to see if it goes beyond that, but you can at least go 5 levels deep in an organization. And in most cases, you probably aren't going to go much beyond that, quite frankly, for org charts. But so play with it and see what you find, and let us know also.
Yes, please. We would love to know. So this is just, another great feature rolling out from Sales Navigator, and we'll keep you updated with other new ones as time goes
Other
on.
news. Yes.
Well, thank you, Stan. I think as we wrap this up, guys, take advantage. Sales Navigator, we believe, is the most amazing sales tool when you're using it the right way. And if you have a Sales Navigator license and you're underutilizing it, and you have a light pipeline, maybe it's time to start really thinking about what you can do to use Sales Navigator better. We have every single month a Be Our Guest to Coaching. So if you go to socialsaleslink.com/events and scroll down, you can join our coaching on our Be Our Guest to Coaching. Bring your Sales Navigator questions, and Stan and I will be thrilled to answer them. So, Stan, any last words before we roll this out?
That is it for today, Bren. Of course, more to come always. Sales Navigator just keeps adding great new features, and we will be staying on top of them for you.